when I started going for super consciousness, I started hanging out with awake people, enlightened people, teachers, the company that had already knew the way. Andrew, hello.
Hi, Vishrant. Can you raise your consciousness levels and then the following week undo it all?
Yeah, you can definitely go backwards. There's no doubt about that. All you got to do is hang out with the wrong people and go to the pub. Or go hang out with the wrong people and get back into the bong. You know, there are ways to go backwards in consciousness levels. Drugs is definitely one way, and alcohol, which is a drug also, is another way. But, you know, if you hang out with people in lower consciousness, well, it rubs off. It's always best to hang out with people going in the same direction. You want to raise your consciousness levels, you hang out with people who have raised consciousness levels. Up to you.
Yeah, because I was going to ask, why would people sabotage their higher conscious, even when they know that those things lower conscious levels?
Because they're addicted to escaping pain. The reason people take drugs basically is to escape discomfort. You know, it's a way of making themselves comfortable again. And so all addictions basically are like that. They're to find some comfort or to remove us from some discomfort, no matter what it is, whether it's drugs, whether it's gaming, whether it's pornography, whether it's racing horses. It's like gambling. Any addiction takes us away and gives us a different consciousness level. And so people get addicted to the change.
Yeah.
And the mind doesn't forget. Once you're an alcoholic, you're always an alcoholic. Once you're a drug addict, you're always a drug addict, because the mind doesn't forget. It doesn't forget how easy it is to just change everything with a few drinks or a smoke or a pill or a snort of something, you know?
Mm. Yeah, so it goes to show that the people you choose to hang out with is probably the most important thing, really.
Yes.
Yeah, the environment.
Yeah. So, like when I was a businessman, I hung out with high-flying businessmen because I was one. And when I went into naturopathy, I hung out with doctors because I wanted to hang out with people in the same similar profession who were going in the same direction. When I trained in psychotherapy, I hung out with psychologists because we could talk the same language and I could learn a lot from them. When I started going for super consciousness, I started hanging out with awake people, enlightened people, teachers, the company that had already knew the way.
Yeah, because it almost seems silly doing the work if you're just going to go back to your old lifestyle, correct? You have to really let go of a lot of those things if you want to keep growing and building.
True.
Yeah. You can't just rock up and do a couple of months of such things and think you're growing if you're going to get on the booze every Friday, Saturday night.
That's right. Doesn't work.
It's pointless.
If you're raising your consciousness levels, you need to stay conscious.
Yeah.
It's a climbing thing. It's like higher consciousness is climbing a mountain. And the way you eventually get to the top is through unconditional surrender. The way you climb the mountain of success in business or sport is through resistance, which is a little bit different, but totality of resistance is required.
Yeah.
When you're raising consciousness levels and you're climbing the mountain of consciousness, the deal is unconditional surrender, but it has to be pretty total.
Yeah. It's got to be a commitment.
Oh yeah. You got to go for it. So if you want to find heart, you've got to serve heart.
Yeah.
You don't find heart by thinking it's a great idea. You find heart by doing whatever's required to facilitate the perception of heart.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all I had. Thank you for that.
Ah, you think you're going to cut me off by saying that? That's not how it works here. Andrew.
No, because I've realized I've done a lot of work with you, but then of course allow myself to trip up with maybe a party or two, and I realize it does undo it. It seems silly to me sitting over here in this environment. I've realized there's a strong pull being in this environment to maintain it. Different energy here. Someone shared yesterday that they stopped drinking after coming and sitting with you, and I can see it'd be very difficult, or you just wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it living here.
No, wouldn't work well for you.
No.
I'm into celebrating life. I'm into people celebrating life, but that doesn't mean getting drunk.
No.
Or stoned. That's a different type of celebrating. That's lower consciousness celebrating. That's not higher consciousness celebrating. Higher consciousness celebrating is having a good dance.
But it's also food, and there's a lot of things, isn't there, that can lower consciousness and raise it, and it's a real.
It's true.
Yeah.
So when you start raising your consciousness levels, you start looking for the little things that make a difference, the small percentages that make a difference, because you decided that you want to do it. So you go for it. You don't put obstacles in your way, you actually remove obstacles.
Yeah.
But that's the same in business. You know, if you want to be successful in business, you remove the obstacles that are in the way of success. It's the same. It's just we're programmed in a certain way, and sometimes we need to change that programming to suit where we want to go.
Yes.
And so for me, I hung out with people who could see me and who were willing to tell me what they could see, so I could actually see things that were in my way and remove them.